This video contains spoilers from Subnautica. Please beware. The Sea Dragon Leviathan is a ginormous reptile-like leviathan-class organism measuring 112 meters in length that is undoubtedly one of the most dangerous creatures in Subnautica. It deals colossal damage to submarines and is even capable of one hit killing the player in an animation where the player is swallowed whole. There are 3 total Sea Dragon Leviathans that we know of currently living on 4546b. 2 of them are located in the inactive lava zone, and the third is located in the lava lakes biome, which is also known as the active lava zone. They are capable of traveling at great speeds and letting loose a barrage of fireballs to bombard its prey. When you examine and think about this creature a little more closely, you start to wonder a few things about it. What does such a huge creature like this eat? Wouldn't it need an incredible amount of food to sustain such a huge body mass? How did it survive the Kharaa bacterium? Why hasn't this species died out yet? Well, I might have found a few different answers to these questions. And that's what we're going to be doing today in this video. We're going to be answering these questions and explaining why the mini Leviathan-class organisms in Subnautica may be able to survive despite the shortage of food. So without any further ado, let's get right into the video. To truly understand this amazing creature, we have to go back to the very beginning. The beginning of life on 4546b. When the Sea Dragon Leviathan is scanned by a player, it gives us some information about the origin of the species. It tells us that the Sea Dragon Leviathan species originated on the planet tens of millions of years ago, making it one of the oldest organisms now living on the planet. This species has survived, spread, and evolved down to the present time. The next we learn about the Sea Dragon Leviathan species was 1,000 years ago. During the attempt to cure the Kharaa bacterium, precursors stole a sea dragon egg from a sea dragon, resulting in the sea dragon pursuing the aliens and ramming into the disease research facility. Consequently, this let loose the Kharaa bacterium onto the planet. A massive extinction event occurred hereafter, where a majority of all species living on the planet died out, the rest forced to evolve to fit the new environment. In the same PDA entry, we learn that, quote, the sea dragon's size and the restrictions of the cave system they inhabit suggest their population numbers are extremely low, perhaps in the single digits. While it is not unusual for larger predators to sustain lower populations, it is possible the sea dragon's food sources have diminished over time. This species may be nearing extinction. End quote. This tells us a few key things. First, the sea dragon population wasn't always this low. Second, its original food source may have died out from the Kharaa bacterium or during the aftermath of its outbreak. And third, that the species is nearing extinction. When the Kharaa was released, it killed the majority of all organisms living at the time. Those who survived were forced to adapt. Based on this PDA entry, it's pretty safe to assume that multiple, if not all, the species the sea dragons relied on for food either died out directly from the Kharaa bacterium or were unable to adapt to the new changes and eventually became extinct in the aftermath of the outbreak. If this is the case, then it would make sense that the sea dragon species would have also died out as well, its main food sources compromised. But, as we all know, that didn't happen. These humongous creatures are still here today to torment us as we explore the depths of the lava zone biomes. This is also the case for many other leviathans, for example the Reaper Leviathan. But today we're going to be focusing on the Sea Dragon. And honestly, many of the reasons that explain why the Sea Dragon is still alive may explain why the Reaper and Ghost Leviathans are alive as well. The first possibility that may explain why the sea dragons are still alive is that the sea dragons could have adapted and began to eat new food sources. It is likely that after its primary food sources perished, it began to prey on new creatures. There are many other possible creatures it could feed on. The first is smaller leviathans, more specifically the Reaper Leviathan. Multiple skeletons of Reaper Leviathans can be found lining the floor of the inactive lava zone, as well as inside the mountain's corridor. Reapers, likely also experiencing similar issues as the Sea Dragon, began to wander out of their usual biomes in search of food. The Sea Dragons likely did the same, and the two species eventually met. This led to the larger Sea Dragon Leviathan species hunting the Reaper Leviathan species, which is likely one way they could have survived if their primary sources of food died out. It is also very likely that the Sea Dragon Leviathan species preyed on, as they now likely prey on, crimson rays, lava lizards, lava larvae, possibly even warbers, as well as possibly eating smaller prey fish, including red eye-eyes and the magma ring, all of which reside in the lava zones. The PDA supports this by telling us, as the largest carnivorous species encountered on 4546b, almost everything is potential prey. With few substantial targets in the volcanic cave system, the sea dragon likely ventures out into cooler waters to hunt other smaller leviathans, cornering them and forcing them deeper, where they are ultimately boiled alive. This suggests the species may leave the lava zone on a regular basis and hunt other leviathans, which would allow them to survive. It is also likely the sea dragon preyed on other species we don't currently know of, that didn't die directly after the Kharaa bacterium hit, but later along as they were unable to adapt. The second possibility is that the creatures that fed the sea dragon died out more recently and slowly declined after the Kharaa bacterium, until they eventually went extinct. This would explain the dwindling numbers that may have only dropped this low recently, as their food sources just recently perished. This would force them to prey on other creatures including the fauna we mentioned before, and would explain why the species has remained so long after the Kharaa bacteria devastated the rest of the planet. This possibility is supported by the PDA entry, which again says, it is possible the sea dragon's food sources have diminished over time. Despite these two possibilities, I still wonder if the food available would even be enough. Are there enough Reaper Leviathans, lava lizards, lava larvae, and more to support even 3 of these creatures? Well, I'm unsure. Another possibility that isn't too likely is that the Kharaa bacteria could have mutated them, causing them to prey on other creatures. This mutation could have also allowed them to eat an alternative material to living organisms, although they may have already been able to do this before the disease was introduced. An interesting possibility is that sea dragons could eat lava or rock, which they either already could do, the Kharaa mutated them to do so, or they evolved to eat materials other than living creatures after the Kharaa. The PDA scan of the sea dragon also tells us that, quote, tissue analysis reveals this specimen consists of 1/3 inanimate materials, focused around the chest area. Consumption and retention of mineral substances may explain the lifeform's ability to withstand extreme temperatures. It even appears to be able to consume molten materials and expel them at its adversaries. End quote. It is possible that the sea dragons get some of the substances they need to survive from the rock and lava they consume. This is likely not a single source of food, but rather a supplement to what they already eat, which may allow them to survive longer than another similar species would. The final and most likely possibility is that it was a combination of the previous possibilities that allowed them to survive. One of these possibilities I have mentioned before may not be the sole reason, and may not even be capable of being the sole reason, but rather some combination of these possibilities may best explain why these creatures are still alive to this day. Maybe the species the sea dragons relied on for food died out recently, and since they were able to get some sustenance from rocks, they were able to survive down to the present time. There are many different possible combinations. Unfortunately for the species, it appears to be on the road to extinction. You can do your part by not killing members of the species, despite the fact that this very species indirectly caused the entire world of 4546b to degenerate to how it is today. But please refrain from killing them, despite how many of your prawn suits they've destroyed or how many times they've killed you, in order to ensure this species survives into the future. Please join me in this cause so that the next generation can enjoy this amazing species we enjoy today. On a more serious note, if you are wondering why this species and other species are still alive, it is likely due to multiple different possibilities. First, due to adaptation. After the Kharaa was released, the surviving species had to adapt to the drastically changed ecosystem. The creatures that are still around today were able to adapt and evolve, while others failed to adapt and died out. Mutation from the Kharaa could have also sped along this process of adaptation, allowing some species to survive that otherwise wouldn't have. It also may have been due to the fact that the sea dragon species resides very close to the primary containment facility, meaning they may have had access to enzyme 42, and it also may have just been down to luck. I talk more about this process in the video I made, which talks about the Titan Leviathan, research specimen Theta, and the skull of the sea dragon, which destroyed the disease research facility. It's pretty interesting. Some of those creatures are ancestors of the creatures now living on the planet. If you're interested, the link is in the description and in the top corner of your screen. And well, all in all, I think it's amazing how this species and many other species on 4546b were able to survive and adapt despite a majority of the creatures who once lived on 4546b dying out. I've thought about what it would be like to have the ancient creatures that used to exist living on the planet now, and I'm working on a huge new video series that will likely take weeks or even months to complete. If you think you've guessed what I'm talking about, do let me know down below. Speaking of the section below this video, let me know in the comment section below if you have any other possibilities that could contribute to the sea dragon and other species surviving. Do you have any theory ideas or questions about Subnautica? If you do, I might make a video explaining the answers. Any other questions or concerns? Please let me know. I will try to respond to all the comments I receive. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, it helps me out a ton, plus it's free. Help me reach 3,000 subscribers as fast as possible. Also, please check out my other Subnautica and Subnautica Below Zero content, you may like it. If you want to be awesome, please support me on Patreon. Thanks to my patrons, Sir Lord Mister, King Nocho, and Charles the Bold Action Man. Become a patron and support today, and I will see you guys in the next video.